What is up, my guys? It is the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here to bring you 40 facts on the Warhammer 40k universe. Today we are trying to discern the identity of a very mysterious entity of the Blood Angels. He goes by the exemplar of the host, the Sanguinor. So in my opinion, this guy is pretty badass. He kind of appears out of nowhere and he saves the Blood Angels whenever they're in a really tight situation. Now, in my opinion, there's probably three pretty good guesses as to who he could be. The first one, which is probably the one that's completely off, is somehow he's related to the Legion of the Damned. Because the Legion of the Damned can appear anywhere practically. They're essentially like warp space marines, so to speak, like demon space marines. But they're vastly different from the Sanguinor. The Sanguinor, he appears where he is needed, but he's more angelic. I mean, he's got the wings, he's got gold armor, he's very heavenly. Now, another person that could be the Sanguinor could be a really tough sanguinary guard. They basically already look like the Sanguinor, except they've got fake wings. The Sanguinor seems to have real angelic wings, but it could just be a really powerful sanguinary guard member that has been infused with like the warp power or some kind of technology that allows him to teleport wherever he is needed. And this kind of plays into a little bit of the lore behind the Sanguinary Guard. Now there's a belief in the guard, Sanguinary Guard that is, that they think that the Sanguinor is actually the original founder. I believe his name is Ascalon, something along those lines. So that kind of makes a little bit more sense lore-wise as to who the Sanguinor could be. And lastly, the main guy that I think the Sanguinor is their Primarch, Sanguinius. Now, I don't actually think it's Sanguinius himself, but maybe like a psychic imprint of him, or the manifestation of like all the Blood Angels' beliefs of their Primarch in a material form, so to speak. He's basically, I mean, as we all know, Sanguinius died on that flagship fighting Horus, which he made a chink in the armor that the Emperor exploited, and that way he killed him. But yeah, Sanguinius is dead. He's as dead as can be. There's no going around that. So that's what I'm saying. That's probably a manifestation of Sanguinius, or like a psychic imprint, that kind of thing. But anyway, I want to know your guys' thoughts. Who do you think the Sanguinor is? To help you guys better form an opinion, we're going to talk about two instances of when the Sanguinor made his appearance to the Blood Angels, and see how we can basically use that information to form a better opinion of who the Sanguinor, not Sanguinary Guard, who the Sanguinor is. So let's begin with the Kartus incident. Captain Zoriel led elements of the Blood Angels' 4th Company to the world of Kartus, there to put an end to the localized acts of piracy by a ragtag fleet of Orc renegades. Though the pirate fleet is quickly shattered, their flagship breaks up in the Kartan atmosphere, raining its wreckage across the planet. The ship's warp core suffers a cascade failure and tears a hole in reality, through which pours a host of Cornet demons. The Blood Angels, who have made planetfall to check for pirate survivors, soon find themselves stranded on Kartus, surrounded by an ever-growing tide of demons. Though they fight with honor and determination, Sanguinius' scions are soon in danger of being overrun. Their predicament worsens when the mighty bloodthirster Kabanda, the greater demon who once bested Sanguinius himself, comes forth and faces only 30 remaining Blood Angels and their valiant commander. Kabanda proceeds to slay Captain Zoriel in single combat. Soon, Kabanda's hordes of Cornet lesser demons proceed to attack the remaining Astartes. Kabanda spread his massive bat-like wings and attacks the strongest point of the Marines' defense. 5 tactical Marines hold up in a ruined cathedral dedicated to the Emperor. It was then that, like the divine hand of the Emperor himself, the Sanguinor appeared out of nowhere and plunged like a bolt of golden lightning into the midst of the foe. The angel battled the roaring demon back and forth. A great duel ensued between the angel and demon, in which neither could gain the upper hand. Through the Sanguinor subsequently broke the Inferno Beast's potent coordinate battle axe, then stabbed the demon with his sword, and using his jump pack, rose high into the sky, taking the demon with him. When the Sanguinor had reached an apogee of his flight, many thousands of meters above the surface of Kartas, he released the impotently flailing demon, which he hurled to the ground, and it dug a crater into the ground filled with demonic gore, as Kabanda's spirit was banished to the warp for another 1,000 years. Shortly afterward, the remaining Space Marines destroyed the Orc's malfunctioning warp core and slew the remaining demons of Khorne. When the Blood Angel Storm Ravens finally arrived at Kartas to recover the surviving Astartes, only 6 Battle Brothers had survived, and the Sanguinor had vanished from wherever it was that he came. The next was during the Cryptus campaign. High Fleet Leviathan was the third and largest incursion into the Milky Way galaxy by the Tyranids. For years, Lord Commander Dante had been fighting the tendrils of this high fleet as they wormed their way ever deeper into the Imperium of Man. When the Xenos shadow fell upon the Blood Angel's home sector, Dante realized it would be but a matter of time before the Tyranid invasion fleets reached the chapter's homeworld of Baal. To counter this threat, or at the very least to blunt the edge of the alien assault, Dante set about shoring up the defenses of the sector, and dispatched his brothers to help the Imperial worlds turn back or destroy the Tyranids. Among these shield systems was Cryptus. By the time the Blood Angels arrived in system, the Krypton shield worlds were already embroiled in a desperate last stands against the teeming swarms of the High Fleet. Outnumbered many times over, the Blood Angels readied themselves for war. Dante divided his forces between these worlds of Asphodex and Eros. Towards the end of this brutal campaign, Dante gathered together the Death Company in a single strike force for the assault on Tartaros, when needed demanded the world to be claimed. The Blood Angels launched a fearsome attack that tore the ragged hole in the Siege Beast swarm. Though the shock of the Blood Angels' assault was over, the Tyranids were far from broken. For every massive bioform that had fallen, scores more seemed to be materializing out of this waste, drawn from other ruined domes by the sound of war and the scent of blood. Soon the Death Company began to lose this battle. They were pushed back towards Tartarus' void domes, where the commander, Brother Chaplain Aerophan, sought the controls of the trigger to the Magnovitrium. This archaic device was a huge solar reflector cradled in a network of Imperial machinery. The Catan shard known as the Burning One had poured some of its essence into this ancient device to burn away both the Tyranids and the humans on this world. The Necron host of Anrakir, the Traveler, had arrived in system and temporarily allied themselves with the Imperial forces in order to achieve their own mysterious aims. Though the Blood Angel commander was justifiably doubtful that the Overlord's true intentions were not known, he allowed the Necron Overlord to send the Catan to Tartarus to enact their plan to destroy the Tyranids. As the warriors of the Death Company faced their inevitable destruction, a beam of light thrust down from the scoured skies of Tartarus, pure and constant in its glory. It was not the Primarch reborn, but the Sanguinor, a figure of legend. The Sanguinor fell upon the Tyranids. A vengeful angel came to aid his ailing brothers. White wings spread wide, the Sanguinor swept through the Tyranids' mists. With eyes of Death Company upon him, the Sanguinor beat his wings several times, rising once more above the monstrous swarm. Then he dived again, both hands on the hilt of his downward pointed blade. And soon it went, with a howl. The last few Death Company brothers hurled themselves into the foe anew, inspired by the example of this shining angel, and reaping a bloody tally on the Xenos. The Tyranids charged mindlessly forward, the Void Dome forgotten as they attempted to ensnare the deadly new prey. Thus distracted, Ampharan was finally able to locate his objective. With the activation of the Magnovitrium, the energy released from this device destroyed Eros. With the destruction of this world, the doom of Cryptus soon followed. While the hive mind had destroyed its cities and killed its people, the destruction of this gas giant was a catastrophe on an epic scale. the celestial landscape of an entire star system and the surrounding void would be changed forever. Following the end of this campaign, Lord Commander Dante stood on the deck of the Blade of Vengeance, and he wondered if this price was too high. He also wondered whether the Space Marines that remained would be enough. What more will it cost to save his chapter's homeworld? And what if, in saving Baal, the Blood Angels were all destroyed? Had the damage done to the Tyranids been enough? These were thoughts that wandered through Dante's mind as he watched his battle brothers return from the world below. Interrupting Dante's introspection, a cold wind rushed across the deck, and a light flared from nothing. For the first time in many years, Dante beheld the sight of the Sanguinor. The Sanguinor made his way towards Dante. Finally, the question that Dante knew he must ask came to his lips. But it was but a whisper, only meant for the ears of the Sanguinor. Was it enough? Can Baal still be saved? For long moments there was only silence, and then Dante felt sure there could be no answer. For the first time in a long time, the Sanguinor spoke. There is yet hope. And that is a conclusion to this instances of where the Sanguinor made himself known. What do you guys think? Is the Sanguinor sanguineous? Is he part of the Legion of the Damned? Or perhaps something else entirely? What do you guys think? Now, the fact that this guy comes out of nowhere in the blinding golden light, that kind of sounds like the Emperor. But that's just me. I doubt it's the Emperor fighting through his, through like a surrogate body or something like that. But that'd be pretty cool. That'd be a nice way of having the Emperor still fight for his warriors, for his Space Marines, for humanity, while still being interred on the Golden Throne. But I know that's not the case. So let me know what you guys think. Who is the Sanguinor? And we'll go from there. I'm going to focus a little bit more on the Blood Angels this week. So if you like Blood Angels, keep on subscribing, keep on liking, and we'll be here each and every day to give you more 40k lore. As always, guys, I'm the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.